we got actually invited. We all got invited.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, because I had a lot of
But
contacts. I've been in the industry since
yeah, you
2003, so I've been going for a
yeah.
while.
You do some great work as long as well as Ben. I mean, you guys are amazing. So it's nothing new to me. I mean, for some reason, I have a way of finding you guys. Maybe it's through the memes or whatever, but I do find you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. Yeah, you've always been like a supporter since day one, for sure.
Yeah, why not? I mean, this is a way to make money for some people sometimes too. So why would I hate on that?
Right.
Yeah, 2003. Shaun, I didn't know you've been doing stuff with gaming since 2003. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, like I started off I graduated in 2003 from college, and one of my first jobs after graduating was at Jamdat Mobile. And I'm pretty old. I don't know if you guys remember Jamdat. This is before smartphones. This is like we're talking like flip phones.
Uh-huh.
Um like Bejeweled, Texas, or Tetris type of games.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um so I was a QA tester there right after college, and they actually pay really good. For a QA tester, it beats like any, you know, fast food job or something like that. So
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for
I did that
sure.
for it was a smaller company. It was very well known. I just made myself known. I told them, hey, I just got out of college. This is what I went to college for. I went to school for media arts and animation. Like, if any positions open up in the art field, like just, let me know. So I talked to all the producers. They were super cool. They all liked me. It was a smaller company, so they only had like one art person there. Um, so I stuck around, did the QA testing, became a project lead for QA. But I think I only did a QA for a year, maybe about a year. And then the art director had left, and they're like, "Hey, this position is open. If you're interested." And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I got a fan. So I so I applied, got the job. Uh, I was the sole art person there. We did a lot of localization, a lot of tedious, monotonous work, resizing to all different types of handsets. Like some screens were long, some were
Mm.
square. It was grunt work, but it was in the right direction of what I wanted to do. So I was at Jamdat for 2 years, and then we get called into this big meeting, and they're like, "Hey, this is like, everybody, like, it's we rarely had like huge meetings, so everybody had to come into this conference room. All of us, all senior level people, CEO, everybody." And so they were telling us that, "Hey, we just got acquired by EA." And we're like, "What does that mean? That's awesome. It's scary. Like, are we gonna lose our jobs? Like, EA is huge."
Hmm.
And EA was probably like it was right down the street from us, maybe like 30 minutes. And they were saying that EA is getting into mobile gaming, or they were already into mobile gaming, but they couldn't do what we were doing. We were doing it a lot longer. We had absolutely. So I don't know, like they just couldn't do what the small company is doing. So they acquired us for like 800 and something $1 million. So they're like, don't worry, everything's going to change. You're going to report to the same people. The only thing that's going to be different is we're not going to be working in the 10th floor of this building. We're going to be moving to the EA campus. So we went to EA like over, once everything cleared out. Um, and I was at EA for maybe 6 or 7 years. Um,
Wow.
so it was great. Like it was a great experience. I was my role kept changing, so I can't even remember my title. Production artist at EA. So did a lot of concept work, a lot of you know resizing, and splash screens. Some
Hmm.
things were really cool. Some things were tedious.
Yeah.
It was great. A lot of people ask, like, how's it working at EA? Are they the worst? And I'm like, no, they're actually really great to work for. Like, it was a great company. People were great. Great
That's
experience.
that's crazy. Just kind of slid right in.
The easiest job interview ever. Yeah. All I
Yeah.
had to do was not quit and just
All
just
of a
roll
sudden
through.
you're working for EA. Yeah,
Right.
that's awesome. Um, I know that when Tim and I were talking about thinking about another artist coming on, your name was the first one that came up, and there was no hesitation. We wanted to ask you to come on, and that story was a really cool way of kind of introducing how you got your foot in the door. But before we go too far with that, let's go all the way back and to where you can remember that art or video games or both started to have an impact on your life.
Ooh. I will start with video games. Video games always had a huge impact on my life. Again, I'm on the older end of the spectrum. So Atari 2100 was my first console. Playing, Combat, Pitfall, and like all that stuff in the
Yep.
living room.
Yep,
Um,
me too.
yeah, I loved it. Like, it was all competitive, and so my parents, they were just, I don't know, like they just got me and my brothers, like, all the games and all that stuff. So they're very supportive. They didn't play themselves, but
Mm.
it made us happy. And then I remember the Nintendo came out, but for some reason, like I couldn't fathom like owning a Nintendo, and I was like, on this Atari thing, and I was like, oh, that looks kind of cool, like, but I don't know, and that was like something I was really interested in jumping into. But long story short, like one summer we went to Texas to visit a cousin of mine, and I went up staying, at their house, like where we're there. He had a Nintendo, and he's like, "Oh, you want to play it?" I was like, "Oh, I never played it before." I was kind of like scared of it for some reason. This
Yeah.
isn't Atari. There's like, what is this? Two buttons, like,
What are these colors?
yeah, all these colors, and it was just like I was legit scared of it, and so I was like, "Yeah, I'll try it." And then playing Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, I was glued. I was
Yeah.
like it was like, and we've all had that story. So
Yeah,
um,
man.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
totally changed my life. Got back home. I don't remember asking my parents for a Nintendo at all. I don't know. Maybe my brother did, but I just remember my mom coming home and, oh, can you help me with the stuff in the trunk? And I opened up the
Nice.
trunk and there's a Nintendo in there, and I was
Oh
just like,
man.
freaking out.
That's a
And
good
Yeah.
mom.
yeah. And
Yeah,
so
those
I
are
would,
fun memories.
they
Those
are,
are the
and
best.
again, I don't remember asking. I don't even know if my brother asked. I don't even know if he cared. Um, I don't know. Maybe I talked about it a lot, and I didn't realize how much I was
Yeah.
talking about it, and they just kind of picked up on it. Like my
Yeah.
mom and my dad, they just like, yeah, let's get this kid a Nintendo.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's really cool. Did you were you into drawing, or did it inspire you to start drawing? Did you kind of get into art like that? Because I know for me, when I was playing Nintendo and Mario and Metroid and all of that, is when I wasn't playing, all I wanted to do was draw it. Did you have
Right.
any experiences like that?
Yes, I've always been drawing longer than I've been playing video games. I have two
Mhm.
brothers. They're older than me. So I was the youngest, and they're very into like sports. They're very sporty, still are. Me, not so much. And I just wanted to stay home and draw, color. And I remember, well, I don't remember because I wasn't in these conversations. My mom told me that she's like, yeah, you were always like, inside. You're always drawing. And then she would tell me that she was always telling my dad, make him go outside, make him, like maybe he should go out there with his brothers, play basketball, play football, or whatever. And I did for a little bit. All the kids in my neighborhood were older than me too, so it's like it wasn't really, interested in playing with them.
Yeah.
And then my dad he was the one that was really supportive. They're both supportive. My dad was the one like, no, he's happy. Like he's
Mhm.
happy drawing. He's like, let him do what he loves to do. And um, so that's what I did. Like, I just drawed, colored. I'd always challenge myself. I would see something I like. I'll try to replicate it, or I'll play video games, and then I'll try creating my own video games or like designing it. And yeah, so that started at an early age.
Yeah. I've
That's really
noticed with you, not to interrupt Ben, but I can look at your art and know it's from you without knowing it's from you. You have a very distinct style. Like I've always noticed that about your art or some of the stuff you've done in the community. It always has like a signature of you, which is it's good. It's really good stuff. But that's what I've noticed with your art.
No, I appreciate it, and I've actually heard that before. It's like a really big compliment. I've
Mhm.
heard that like I can always tell your art from other people's art. Not to say that other people's, it's
It's
just
true
different.
though.
Hmm.
There's a lot of talent in this community. I know Ben and I talk all the time, and we're talking about how we like to celebrate other people's art. I know some artists can get kind of um, what's the word?
Competitive.
Competitive, yeah. And
Competitive or
Yeah.
but that
we
was
know,
never me.
I know.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I've heard. Yeah,
It's
you have a
something they
distinctive
hold very
taste.
dear. A lot of artists hold it very dear to themselves. So you
Mhm.
obviously want to go about it respectfully. But yeah, there is, I mean, I've known all the artists and they're a good bunch, but they definitely care about what they do and you know, um, they care about what you say and think.
Mhm.
And the thing is that the stuff from the Xbox side of things, from what I've seen, man, we got a lot of good artists on this community. It's crazy. Like Bu, Ben. I don't know if you remember Fernando Cruz. Do you
Yep.
remember him back in the
Hmm.
day? He was great. I don't know where he went, but I love that guy. That guy was just like flew off. But we have so many people. Colt in his way.
Hmm.
Yeah, cool. Diego.
It's Diego. So many people,
Yeah,
and it's
and it's
great.
Yeah.
inspiring. It's inspiring. Like I see other people's work, and it just inspires me to do more,
Well, and
but
it's a
not like
lot more fun
competitively.
to work with each other rather than to just try to focus on your own stuff being seen. But at the
Right.
same time, it's
Oh,
hard not to take it personal, right? Because just like your story, and I have a similar story, it's something we've been doing for as long as we can remember. It's a very personal thing.
Hmm.
You've spent countless hours of your every part of your life sitting alone in your own little world, drawing and creating these worlds and kind of being inspired by the games that you watch to try to create your own version of it. And that's followed you your whole life. And then when you start sharing things and getting recognition, you got to really be self-aware and try to put your ego aside and just say it's a lot more fun if I work with everybody and we all share each other's stuff rather than me just try to really enjoy like the compliments and the
mhm,
everybody sharing it or talking about the work that you do. It's fun to
Right.
do it with other people, but it's
Yeah.
a very solo kind of pursuit most of your life, right? So there's a transition there.
Right.
When you did it follow you through school? Were
Oh,
you like, I know some people really excelled in in art through school, were in um
yeah. Yeah. I did.
like
I was always the art guy. I was always
mhm.
like,
Draw
like if
this, draw
yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
Sean, draw this, and then I would do it. Like instead of like studying, I'm like over here drawing Bart Simpson, and oh, can you do this? I'm like sure, and like um, but it's more like I just like to make people happy. I like to just get that reaction that just pleasing somebody else with my art, and I think
yeah.
I got a kick out of that. Um, so it did follow me all throughout school. I think um, fourth grade is when I realized that I actually had a talent. I know it took a while because it came natural. It was just something I did. Like I like to draw, and then your parents are, oh, you're really good, but your parents they're
Yeah.
gonna say that. um, yeah, so it wasn't until fourth grade when I started like winning art competitions, and my teacher really really pressed on like, oh, you should pursue this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You should you should you know go after this competition. You should try this or blah blah blah. That's when I really realized, oh, I think I have a talent here. Like I think I'm actually
Mhm.
um, there's something more to just it being something I like. So that followed me all throughout school up into college. Now I'm like, I know I'm skipping a lot, but
No, that's
No,
cool.
it's fine.
I went to an art school. So that's different. So like, you go into like a regular private or like a public school where you have a few artists here and there, to an art school where everybody's an artist. It's a school full of Sean's.
Yeah.
So then it
Yeah.
becomes like really kind of that's when the competitiveness kind of kicks in. I know for me
Mhm.
because I'm usually not competitive, but now I'm like, okay, how am I going to stand out from all these people, and
They're all good.
they're all
Yeah.
good, right?
And
At
you
different
realize this
levels,
is like your sport. Like if your
right?
Right.
siblings are into sports and you
And
don't really want to play basketball, now you're essentially in a
and,
sport.
and it's not to interrupt, but you're from LA, right?
I went to school in LA. I'm from Riverside, which is like an hour from LA.
Okay, but Southern
Pretty
California.
close, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where
Right.
I went to school. Yeah. So yeah, and I did good. I did well. I was able to like stand out amongst the all the artists, because I think one of my professors told me that I had a very wide range of art. So like I was good at
Mhm.
this, maybe not this, but I was good at where other
Right.
people they're really focused on like one or two types of art, where I had like a wider spectrum, or I just kind of like grabbed onto it, pretty quickly. I went to school for 3D animation, like media arts and animation.
Okay.
Ironically, that's the one thing I wasn't good at. So like
Mhm.
I was able to 3D model like up to a certain point, and then it got like really complicated. So I kind of like pulled back on that a little bit and went more into illustration and like motion graphics, After Effects, and stuff like that. That's the stuff I really grasped onto. Um,
I remember one of the first things from my story of knowing you, was your character creation, or the way you can make like people in the community. I remember Beard. I remember. I'm sure you remember this.
mm,
He reached out to you and he wanted an avatar or something. And I remember that your art of him was really good. I remember him showing it to me, and I'm like, wow, that's awesome. And he still uses it, I think, to this day.
yeah, Beard's awesome. Like I actually I updated one of his avatars. If you look at him now, like he has an updated one, so
Hmm.
it shows you how much I've grown over that time. Because I'm always trying
Nice.
to like push myself, and I'll look at older illustrations I've did, and they're not even
Yeah.
that like a few years ago. I'm like, that's not for me. I'm like, that's not the great, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, you just kind of improve, and you don't really realize you're improving until you go back and look at some of your older stuff. But what I did for Beard now, like I'm pretty proud of it. It looks pretty nice.
It's great.
Um,
When you were in art school, did you have a direction? Was there an industry you were leaning into, or did video games kind of follow you throughout school and into college?
Video games didn't, because like I played video games on the side, but the school I went to, they didn't have a video game program because everything I was doing was still fairly new. Like all these programs, they were still like early on. After I graduated, they opened up like a whole video game section, or like a whole, like a whole.
It started to become more popular, so they had
Right,
a whole
right.
class for it
So
right
when I went
after you.
right after me, so when I
Yeah.
went in, it was like, oh, you want to learn web design, or you want to learn
Yes.
illustration, you want to learn 3D animation. So yeah, like so again, I went to school because I wanted to do special effects for movies. That's why I went, but then
Mhm.
I realized that wasn't really for me. I have friends that I went to school with. We both started same time, same goals. I went this way, he went that way. Um, Dude is amazing. He's does like pretty much any Marvel movie you can think of, like the Avatar. He's done a lot of special effects for all that stuff.
That's cool.
So he actually like went forward with that and
Wow.
really became successful. Dude's awesome. But I went more this way, and video games kind of like caught up to me later because again they didn't have that program in school. Um, but I wanted to go into that industry, but you know,
Just
but
didn't
it's
you didn't follow it through, or it wasn't for you. I would say. Would you say that's better saying it?
for the special effects,
Yeah,
like
it
for the
wasn't for
movies.
you.
It wasn't for me,
Yeah,
no. I still
yeah.
appreciate it. I loved it. I like tampering with it, but I knew it wasn't something I was strong enough, doing to like, pursue that.
Yeah.
Um,
What do
What?
you have to be good at? Not to interrupt, Ben, but what do you have to be
Cool.
good at to do that? Like, what's tough about it? Just
um,
interested.
I don't think it was so much it being tough because this we're using the same programs, which is ironic.
Mhm.
Like same programs, just you're using it in a different way. Um, um, I don't know. I don't know if it's just my mindset because I know I would have, if like anything else, if I would have put more effort into it, I would have gotten better and better. And but maybe it's just my mindset. Like I don't know if I want to do this. Um, and in the end, I'm kind of glad I didn't go that route. Um, Not to knock on anybody who's doing that because it is a monotonous industry. There's long days. Like I have a family, and those people in that industry, like it works really well if you're don't have a big family, and and if you're okay
Mm.
doing long shifts. Um, Again, I commuted, so we're talking long shifts plus the commute on top of that, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's like what I went into is a little bit more manageable as far as working in the industry and keeping the family happy.
How did you form a direction, like with the portfolio, your demo reel? Did you go? I know that's really common. Is that what you were working towards in school ultimately to get into wherever you first went?
Yeah, that was required. Like you had to, if you didn't have a demo reel, you don't graduate. Um, so yeah, so I remember a professor said like, just put your strong stuff in your demo reel. Like everybody wants to put everything in there, and I remember him saying, if you're not good at lighting, don't light your models. If you're not good at texturing, don't texture your models. Um, just because in that field, you're going to most likely wear one hat. If you're good at texturing, that's all you're going to do. You're just going to texture, texture, texture.
Yeah.
Somebody else is going to do all the other stuff. Um, so unless you're good at it, don't put it on your demo reel. And um, I don't even remember my demo reel, honestly. I just kind of there's a whole nother story that goes along with that. I almost lost everything. My computer crashed, and I almost didn't graduate. And then I talked to my professor. I was like, dude, like but I was able to pull something out like at the very last minute and
Nice.
but yeah,
I've actually heard
that's all a
that.
blur.
I've heard that from a few people. That's the days before you could just back everything up on cloud,
Right.
where that
Photoshop
hard
fixed
drive
everything.
was everything.
Right.
Yeah.
The hard drives, the zip drives, that's how old like all that
Floppy
good stuff.
disks.
Yeah, the floppy disk. We had all that
Yeah.
stuff. Burn it into
Yeah.
CDs.
Yep. Remember the
How did it
DVD burners?
They could corrupt real quick.
Yep.
did you go right into art? Did your reel get you a job into an art industry right away?
It didn't. So I had a friend that worked at Nickelodeon, and he was like, "Hey, they're hiring." But it's like for I don't remember it. It's kind of like an internship, like they hire within like most companies. So I tried to get an internship at Nickelodeon, thinking maybe I can jump in there. SpongeBob was hot. Invader
Mm.
Zim. I think Invader Zim was still around, and that was like one of my favorite cartoons. So I was all excited. Um, Met with the people. They're super nice. That didn't work out, and then I kind of rolled right into going back to JamDat. That was my first job out of college, and it was in the video game industry, but it was QA testing. But I was like, well, I'm just gonna get my foot in the door, um, and just go from there, because
Right.
getting your foot in the door is the hardest part. You make friends, and again, go back to school. Teachers, professors, don't make any enemies. Don't like
Yeah.
all these people that you go to school with, you're gonna see them again. And I've seen some people like, oh my gosh, I know you, and so don't make any enemies at school because they might be the one hiring you. And
Yep.
funny stories, like one of my friends, like this other guy, they just kind of had beef with each other, and my friend became like a level where he got hiring to hire people, and he's
Mhm.
like, guess who I saw walk in the other day? And then like he told me the guy whatever, and he's like, he just said he the resume or whatever, he just got rid of
Yeah.
it. He's like, no.
This is
So
over with.
no
Teachers knew what
enemies.
they were talking about.
Yeah, they do. Don't make any enemies. It's a very small industry. But yeah, no, that was my first job out of college was QA testing, and then again I
And
QA tested
EA.
for yeah, it led right into EA. Yeah, yeah.
And then what'd you do after EA?
After EA, so
Self, like
after
Or how
freelance?
long were you with EA?
like 6 or 7 years, I believe. So my family started growing at that time. By the time I left EA, um, I had 2 kids. I have 3 kids now. So I had 2 kids. Again, it was a commute, getting home really late. Like I'm getting home, kids are going to bed. It was a
Yeah.
lot. It was very stressful, and so that whole time I was there, I was looking and searching
Mm-hmm.
for other
Alternatives.
jobs. Right. As much as I loved it, loved the people, I couldn't do it. So after EA, I wound up working at a smaller studio, um, and it was a startup. It was a little startup company, and startups, they're it's a coin toss because they might not be as stable as EA, but they pay really well because they have like
Mm.
investors investing in a small company, whatever. So I became an art director there. Um,
Wow.
yeah, so actually there's one artist, and then they hired me, and then I kind of just excelled, and I became an art director, and they had a few more artists. I had like a team of like maybe three or four, or no, like five artists maybe underneath me. So I was
Wow.
there for a few years, and I was in Irvine, just like right down the street from Blizzard. So we used to like go eat lunch. We're like, it's Blizzard's right there. Um, Ironically, we were in the same building as Obsidian. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Obsidian
I
was
was
like
just talking,
above us. Yeah, they're like,
and Exiles around there too.
oh really? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
I
cool.
think Obsidian was one floor above us. So we used to pretend like
Wow.
we're like putting our ears to the ceiling. We're like, let's see what they're working on. Um, so yeah, worked there for a few years, couple years actually. I wasn't there too long. Had my third kid, and after that, I had to walk away. I took some time, and I freelanced. So I freelanced for a long time. So I left that place. I worked from home. My very first two freelance gigs, they're really long gigs, were Red Bull and Disney. So so again, don't make enemies. So the people I worked with at EA, they all branched off. A lot of people I knew went to Disney. They're like, "Hey, Sean, are you open for freelance?" I'm like, "Yes," you know. So I got to work for Disney freelance for a good year, and then another friend from I used to work with the EA went to Red Bull. Hey, are you open for freelance? I'm like,
Nice.
sure. Um, Really good paying freelance jobs. So I was able to work from home for
Nice.
probably like 7 years. It was a long time. It was a
Wow.
really, really long time. Um, with these, larger freelance jobs and a lot of smaller ones too. They weren't all that big, um, which gets kind of scary because it's very unstable. Again,
Yeah.
you're trying to raise a family, and my wife works, so she makes good. But me doing my part, I want to do my part, and I want to make sure
Yeah.
it's like stable. So after I felt we're in a good spot, kids are getting a little older, so they're like off to school. They're still young though. It's time for me to get back in something more stable. Um, I stepped away from yeah, I think that was the last time I worked in that industry, and then after that, I worked at a university, doing marketing and graphics, still design, all still the same work.
Hmm.
Um, Doing most of their marketing stuff, so like
Yeah.
the website stuff, flyers, a lot of print. That was the first time I really got into print. That was all
Oh,
new to me.
nice.
So I learned a lot there. Print's just a whole nother beast. Um, and one of my first big assignments they gave me there was to redesign the basketball court floor.
Oh, that's cool.
That's kind of a big deal. I'm like, dude, I'm new. Like, why? What are you doing? Like, it was kind of jarring. It was kind of scary, but I was very like humbled at the same time. So I got to design the whole floor. Got to design a couple new logos that they're probably going to use for the rest of their lives. Um,
That you can
this,
go see now.
yeah, that I can go see, and obviously I'm not there anymore, but uh, yeah, now I'm just again doing design work, but I work from home. Working at a tech company, but I work from home. 100% remote. Um,
It's great.
the companies in
There for the
LA.
kids, right?
Oh yeah, they love it. I like to cook, so I think they like the fact that I'm cooking all the
Yeah.
Yes.
time.
You were telling me
Nice.
about you when I think we were talking about it. We were talking about barbecues one day. Because
Yeah,
when I come out there, I didn't make it out this year, but we usually get something. And next year when I'm out there, maybe we'll do a barbecue.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
We'll go to the store and we'll get some stuff, and I'll be like, "Cook it up, Shaun."
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Shaun, when was your first experience where you put a lot of time into something? Like I know I can imagine that the basketball court is something that you can walk in and see and just have one of those, whoa, I made that moments. But when was it in your freelance work, or where was it that you saw some of your work afterwards and you got to just have that experience of, wow, I can't believe I contributed to that, or that's something that I made?
Um, there's a couple of things. I'll go back to EA.
If you can
We,
talk about them.
yeah, I can talk about 'em. Um, I worked on a Simpsons game, and I was like a huge Simpsons fan since the
Nice.
Simpsons came out when I was in 5th grade. So I've been a fan ever since. And um, so I got to do a lot of artwork I did a lot of the splash screens. I think like the levels, like before the level loads, there's like like this huge splash screen. So I got to design it out.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, that's right up your alley.
right. And I think I had complete freedom. I don't remember them giving me direction. I just knew what the level was. Oh, like, let's have Homer in this one and let's do Marge on this one, and designing it all out. The scary part is it had to get okayed by Matt Groening, like
Oh,
himself,
wow.
like not
That's
a team,
cool.
like he had to do it. And he loved it. And I remember him saying, well, he didn't talk to me. He talked to like somebody else and they
Yeah,
relayed it
yeah.
to me. But oh, this is great. I can't remember the comments, but it's something to do with the line work. Is that, oh, like make
Mhm.
sure like all the characters have black lines, but then like backgrounds don't use black lines. They use whatever darker version. I don't know. I don't remember what it was. And I was like, okay. And so like and it was just kind of like humbling and scary at the same time because
Yeah, I can
um
imagine.
yeah, like it's Simpsons are one of those people where like they look like they're easy to draw, but if something's off, like you'll look at it and be like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
something's wrong
Yeah.
with it, like, but you can't figure out what it is. So I think that was the first one. Um, I didn't get invited to the party, but like after the launch, like the producers they all went, and then they came back and said, "Hey, Shaun, like I know it was like a higher up thing. I know you can go, but I brought you this," and he brought me like a script. I still have it like somewhere in my office. That was a Treehouse of Horrors script.
Yeah. Yeah.
It hadn't even aired yet, and he got all the actors to sign it. It's only it only makes sense for me to let you have it, since you put so much time and effort in this.
Wow, that's cool.
So I got all the whole cast, and it's like a red script. I don't know if I forgot what red means, like when the cover's red, whatever. But yeah, I got that. So that was very humbling. The other instance, I guess, goes back to the university. Doing a lot of print work. That was new to me, so I think physically seeing stuff, like not like on a screen or on a
Yeah.
tablet or something like that. Walking around campus and there's like flags and billboards and everything is like, oh, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine. I mean, we had a team. It wasn't just me. Like
Right. Right.
there's a team of artists, but we were like the ones in charge of the whole branding of the university. So like it was very important what we did, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
that's cool.
driving up to the campus, there's a billboard. Oh, that's mine. Um, um, again, the basketball court, and so seeing stuff like that is always it's pretty cool.
Is the basketball court still to this day?
It is.
Same
They have
way.
to.
Nice.
It's a funny. So it's there. We had a
That's
really
really
bad
cool.
storm, like
Yeah.
like last year, and this is after I had left. Like one of my friends, like my ex coworkers, hey, did you hear what happened to the basketball floor? I'm like, what happened? And I guess like the storm just flooded the whole basketball court, so they
Yeah.
had to rip everything out and then redo it. But it's still there. It's just
Hmm.
it's just they had to redo it, whatever. But yeah, it's there. It'll be there for a while. It's too expensive for them to
Redo.
to
Yeah.
redo. Yeah.
At what point along this timeline did you start getting into Xbox and the community, or social media and posting your art on there?
Yeah. So basically, goes back to what Tim was saying. I think 2013 is when
Yeah.
is when Xbox announced their console. Um, I'm probably gonna mess up the story, but I'm just gonna give you like the gist of it.
Yeah.
Um, Around the time where they announced Sunset Overdrive,
Oh yeah, I
I
remember
I
this.
yeah, I really liked the artwork. I thought it was cool. I like the punkness of it, and I don't know. I just there's something about it. Oh, that's really cool. And like I'm gonna and I didn't really do a lot of fan art. I didn't really. I usually created my own stuff. Um, I had nothing against fan art, but I just didn't do much of it.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, oh, I want to create something like my own little Sunset Overdrive character, and so I did it. I posted it, and
Everyone
Twitter was
loved
new
it.
to me too. Yeah, I remember. I remember you. I think that's when we really started hitting it off.
Hmm.
Um, Twitter was new to me, so I didn't really know how it worked. I didn't know the dynamic of it. I didn't know how to tag people. So I didn't tag anybody. I didn't tag Xbox. I just posted it. Somehow Phil Spencer saw it.
Hmm.
And then he retweeted it, but I didn't know he retweeted it because again, Twitter's new to me. And then
The creators, the Sunsets Overdrive.
right, yeah, Roby, like Justin Roby, he was a producer at the time, Roby Tech. So we're actually really good friends even to this day. Um, Justin's been a huge supporter, so he had actually reached out to me. He's like, "Hey Sean, he's a great job. Phil Spencer like retweeted your work." And I'm like, what are you talking about?" And then so he like linked me to the tweet, and then I saw that he posted it, and I was like, and then people started following me, like I don't know, I didn't have a lot of followers at the time, and it was kind of like surreal, and then Justin's like, "Hey, like I got some projects for you," and so I started working with him a lot. He really got me out there. He's the one that really kind of pushed me into like doing a lot of freelance stuff, and
Mm.
and
That's
um
cool.
it just kind of blew up from there.
He's a
Um,
good guy.
he is.
I remember distinctly. Now, what was the picture? Was it a guy or something, or like be who you want to be? It was something I remember. It had a strong statement
Oh,
to
it
it
just had
attached to it.
yeah. It was a guy. He was on a skateboard, like he was kind of like jumping. It just said Sunset Overdrive. It had the logo, but it was very
Mm,
like bold coloring. I don't normally color like that, so
mm,
again that was new to me. I was very like illustrative, heavy blacks and
Hmm.
the greens and stuff like that.
right. Yeah, but I remember when I saw it, I was like, "Wow!" I was like, "This is awesome." And then, yeah, like you said, it caught on. Like, and now Twitter was a lot different then too.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like Twitter today would probably blow up 3 times, but it was huge. I remember the
Yeah,
developers talking about it. I think somebody it was on for a while. They were talking about it for like months after.
yeah. I
But
didn't have a following back then. I think that's what kind of like jump started everything. Um,
right.
and then people would, hey, can you do this? And I just drew stuff for people for free. I was like, yeah, absolutely. And I just like did
Hmm.
it. I'm like, here you go. And I'm like, and, just because it was fun for me. Then it got like overwhelming, and I was like,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
I think I think Tim, you
Told
might
you,
have
sure.
been, no, you might have been the first one that paid me to do something. You're like, here's like you just sent me money. He's like, can you do this? And I was like, I can. No, don't worry about it. And you're like, dude, I have to like, and I think you might have
Yeah.
been one of the first people. And then and because of how much time I
Unfortunately,
was
a
spending.
lot. Yeah. I mean, listen, and I'll say this for creators, all of it. Just give it. You know what? If they're doing something, never take it for free because it's
Right.
their time. Even if you give somebody $20, I'm a firm believer of that. Yeah, it's cool, but you know what? Buy them a game, do something because they should be rewarded. And these guys are super talented. But I do remember that. Yeah, I mean, I was like, you would do. You were always a nice guy. Sometimes people take advantage of that shit. You know that.
Yeah, yeah, they do, and I'm a firm believer too now, for sure.
Yeah, you have to
Um,
be.
you have to because it takes its time, and I know I always tell people like, well, you're not paying for the artwork, you're paying for my time. You're paying for
Hmm.
Right.
the time I sit here that I'm not playing video games or I'm not you know I won't say time I don't spend with my family because I won't sacrifice that, so I'll stay up late.
Right.
I'm you know
Right.
and when they're up, I'm up. Like we're doing family things. Once they go to bed, that's when I get to work. So, if you look at my gamer score and then you're like, oh, Sean doesn't play as much as you think he does, that's because I'm working. It's because I'm doing like
Yeah, of
these projects
course.
and stuff.
Yep.
Um,
You're an adult. You have three kids. I mean,
Yeah.
No, my main position in life right now is to keep a house running and to have my kid do well. To be
Right.
honest, anything else is hearsay. You know what I mean? Like my daughter is what matters, and I'm sure you guys are the same way with your kids. I mean,
Yeah.
like that's why I laugh when I see somebody. A lot of times it's from a kid who's 20 years old doesn't know any different. All he
Right.
knows. But when you have a kids and you have family, video games definitely have to take a back seat. And
Yeah.
it's I just remember you've always been so open to the community from 2015. Like you were just so welcoming and so nice. I'm glad that you started to get paid. And I always told Ben too. You know, anybody asks you to do anything, you have to come with a fee. It's like even friends like like say Colt and Rand when they do their thumbnails, they don't do it for free. You gotta charge. It's time. You know what I mean? If you're
Yeah.
doing a thumbnail, you should be compensated.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's surreal because it's literally something. If none of Twitter existed, I would be here drawing anyways, like stuff I would do in my free
Yeah.
time. And the fact that somebody would actually pay me to do these things just it still blows my mind. Even after all these years, I've been doing it like my whole life. Um, so
I
it's
find
humbling.
like you guys like you and Ben and Xbox Pope and all these guys are actually better than the professionals. That's where it blows my mind. It's like you guys come up with such great ideas, whether it's around Xbox or the certain things. Like I know Ben showed me a piece of art, or it was just like basically a collection of studios. It's always well done, and we were talking about it. We're like, well, I'm like, I don't want to jinx it, so we can't. I'm like, don't post it until we know. And then I saw Ben posted it today after the news. And
Mhm.
what did it get? What is it? 2,500 now,
I don't
Ben?
know. My phone's still kind of going
And
crazy,
that's
but
nice.
yeah.
It's nice to see. And I'm always like I'm privy. Even with you, I've seen some of your stuff early. You asked me should I do this or that. You always weigh what I say. But like even guys like Fernando or stuff like that, we always used to collaborate and stuff on it. And it's just like for me, it's just I'm just floored about the just the talent in this community is something else. And that's part of the reason why I'm here is because I do believe in people exploring that side. And we've had some giveaways. Not many people have come on, but if you feel like making fan art, send it in and or listen to the show. That's what we're about. These are the top guys you'll find here.
Yeah, there's a fun freedom about fan art because you don't have to follow any rules, right? You can just do so to push back just a little bit on fan art. I can only speak for myself. Sean, you may be, but Tim, when you said some of the fan art is better than what some of the professionals actually do, I think some of it may seem like it may get a little more traction because you can post it right away whenever you want, and you
Mm-hmm.
can post and you can come up with any idea you
You're not
want,
restricted.
whether it's PC or not, or like you can just pay attention to what's going on and make something as crazy as you want for the moment. And I
Mm-hmm.
know, like I was talking to Steen in LA, and when I met him, I kind of thought he was going to be a little like, oh, you're that guy. Like when I met him, you're that guy that posts those things. But it was the exact opposite. He was very welcoming. He was like, oh, he very complimentary about some of the stuff that I post. And he kind of pointed out that same thing. Oh, he likes it and he enjoys some of the things we post because that freedom exists.
Mhm.
And they have to follow, they'll be working on, they know about things 6 months before we know about them, and they'll
Yeah,
work
of
on them, and they
course.
have to be approved by everybody, and they have to be revised, and they have to follow guidelines. And so I
Can't
just think
offend
sometimes,
anybody.
yeah,
All the stuff that to look at.
exactly. And then if news comes out like it did today, we could just post
It's true. That's a very
right
good
then.
point. And you have
Yeah.
no restrictions, and you don't have. That's probably the worst thing is what you have this guy who's not even an artist telling you what's wrong with your art. You know what I mean? I'm sure
Yeah.
you guys dealt with that, and it's like anything that comes across my timeline or my DMs from you guys, it's always just like you guys always wow me. I'm like, wow, I'm just like
Yeah.
super talented.
Yeah, and Xbox has been like super supportive too. Like Ben had mentioned, like they see everything.
Hmm.
Like we might not think they do, but they see everything because
They
Ben's talked
do.
to them. I've talked to them. Um, like I said earlier, a lot of support from Justin Roby right off the bat. A lot of support from Mike Ybarra. I used to do a lot of stuff for him too, and it's crazy to see where he's at now. I mean, he was already
Yeah.
big in Xbox. Now he's like running,
Yeah, I
and
talked to him today actually.
oh, nice, yeah.
Yeah,
Now
Yeah,
back at Xbox.
yeah, we're supposed to
almost there.
go out to dinner one day, but my
Yeah,
wife
when
is
we
gonna.
go out next year, we will definitely go. I know
Yeah,
that's been a big thing in the community, but the real thing is that we do hang out with people like Aaron. We do all hang out with each other. It's like we're just
yeah,
like I've known Sean. How many years in a row did we've hung out and we went to every Xbox E3 and lately it was screwed up because of the COVID and then they didn't
right,
have the show. And I was supposed to go this year. I should have went this year to be honest, but I had some
yeah,
unforeseen circumstances that came up. But it's like it's a party, and it'll be a party next year. And
it
Ben will
is.
be there. Everyone will be here.
It's a
You know,
celebration. You know, they're legit happy to see the fans. Like none of that's fake. Like it's not
no,
fake at all. Like they're legit.
they
Like,
hit me up. They hit us
Mhm.
all up. They're
hmm
like, "Well, you guys think you'll be free? Do you think we want to get together?" And sometimes I've said no. We got to go meet these people. When I get to LA, it's about the community with me.
hmm
How many people meet up with me? Megatron having these parties. You remember, like we hook it up. We do the right thing, and it's great that we could put faces to the Twitter accounts. You know what I mean?
yeah, right.
And you're a prime example. I remember how cool you were, and then we were hanging out, and then we were hanging out after the show. Then we went to a couple of dinners, and you know, it's about meeting up and just being social. That's all it is.
hmm Yeah.
Sean, I have a question for you. You may not have an answer right off the bat, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but the getting into the art industry, everything is completely different now. Like you said, you had already gone through school and gotten a job, and then you found something like Twitter. But for if somebody was listening or watching that is kind of earlier on, whether if they're still in school, whether it's high school or it's just a hobby for them, and now that Twitter does exist, advice like your teacher telling you not to make enemies with anybody is probably the best advice you can get. But would you recommend anybody try to pursue share their art in a certain way, try to get their stuff out and get seen? Or do you think following more of a traditional path of school, or maybe do both?
I don't have an answer. No, I'm just kidding.
Cool.
No, I'm just kidding.
Then I'll
Yeah.
cut that out.
No, I was kidding. No, a little bit of both. I would say there's another thing my teacher said is actually the same teacher. He's been giving a lot of good advice. Parents might not like this advice. My wife doesn't like it, but it kind of depends on what field you're going into. But since we're talking about the art field, there was a student, very talented. We were like just about to finish up our bachelor's, and he landed a job. Like he landed a really good paying job, and he was kind of freaking out. He's like, "What do I do? Like I have to I have a job and I have school." And I remember the professor was like, "You're done." He's like you got the job. Like
Nice.
like for this field, like the degree is nice. Like it looks good on the resume, but if you get your foot in the door, like you're set. Like once you're in, you're in. You just bounce around from there. Um, And so that's what he did. He quit school, saved a little bit of money. He already got the job. Um, I don't know if that answered your question, but
Yeah, yeah, it does.
but yeah. So like, so going back to again, YouTube didn't exist back then.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of resources that artists have available right now that I didn't have. I learned Photoshop through books. Um,
Yeah,
and and I say Twitter's a huge resource. I would have used that to my fullest if I was still in school.
yeah,
Reach out to people, just be nice to people. Talk to people in like if you want to work at Xbox, like be nice to those guys. You know, they listen. They're I've talked to them and they're like, hey, like I might have something for you. Like they will take note. They will reach out to you. Like if you're a good person and obviously if you're talented enough. If you want to work at Sony or Blizzard or something like that, like just start following all those people.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
and just get your foot in the door, like any way possible. Like don't be discouraged if you don't land that art job right away. And if you're a QA tester, just be the best QA tester, make friends. Um, and then they hire internally all the time. Like it's a lot safer and cheaper for them to like, hey, you QA tester, you want to be an
Mm,
artist, you want to be a producer. Like some of the biggest producers that I know, like were QA testing with me. Like they pull from that pot. So just get your foot in there. Um,
it's funny, people always we had this conversation or debate on some of the forums about like, Xbox and its relationship. But I can tell you there are those stories, whether it's from Delilah. I don't know if you guys know her.
yeah.
Delilah, she works at Xbox. She was a fan. I remember going to Fan Fest with her, and she's now in Seattle. She's working for them. Also, Black Magic, Rand's friend.
Mhm.
Um, he also just a fan, big gamer, great gamer. He's now went to college. He's now is an engineer with Xbox. So it's very true. Twitter
nice.
is definitely a social forum where you can get in touch with these people. And I have to say, Microsoft, a lot of times they're more open to things than a lot of other companies. But
Hmm.
sometimes it just makes one connection, one person,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
can pave the way.
Yeah. I remember Mike Ybarra, he was like, I'm gonna get you in contact with the guy who's in charge of like marketing or not marketing, but
Mhm.
it was I don't know what it was. I think it was social media, but more on the art side, whatever. And we had talked back and forth. Nothing came out of it, but still those connections were there,
Yeah.
and it's just super cool. Like they're you know yeah,
It's
just
being
always
seen, right? It can't hurt whenever it's being
Yeah.
seen.
right. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, I mean, this is where we met. And like you said, as soon as we met in LA, it was like we had been friends for years. And Tim and I had been talking about having you on the show. You were the first name that came up, the person that we wanted to talk to because we knew your perspective with the story that you have would be really cool when we talk to artists and we ask them about their stories. You'll have a unique insight, and I know I
Plus,
couldn't be happier that you're on with us.
yes, yeah. I mean, I remember Ben. He's like, Sean. I'm just laughing. I'm like, that guy's awesome, man. Just get him signed up. I think this was even before I know that you started talking to Sean. I was like, you'll meet Sean. You'll love. He's such a good guy, and I mean that. You know what I mean? Like when I heard he was, could be a part of this, I said, perfect. You guys obviously too. When we have somebody who's on with art, have a lot more insight and stuff that you can
Yeah,
ask. I'm here for for just the appreciation of it. And like I said, when I heard Sean was coming on board, I was like, I just remember telling you, I'm like, you're gonna love this guy. This guy's awesome.
I
yeah,
And
appreciate it.
no, we've always been cool. We've been, I mean, it's been really like a decade of talking, and friends, and meeting up, and you know, I tweet a
Yeah.
lot, you know. I'm always in there, so
Yeah.
talk a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, because I know Ben and I had that conversation too. Because like I think I've been following Ben for a few years, but we barely just met. Like
Yeah.
just past
Right.
FanFest, and it feels like we've known each other for years. Um, and he had brought up, coming onto the show, and I know he saw my face because I was like, because I'm not a podcaster like at all. I'm not good on camera. Um, it just so happens we're all friends, so I feel comfortable around you guys. But like most artists, like we like to hide in our corner with our little laptops and just kind of create. But but no, it's cool. I love it. My wife encourages. She's like, just do it. Like just it'll be
Yeah.
good for you. And I appreciate you guys having me on for sure.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. No, I knew your hesitation because I have the exact same hesitation. I'm not a podcaster or a public speaker or anything, but I knew that if we could put a cool little team together, I know we can have some really interesting conversations. So I'm excited to do that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun for sure.
Cool, man. Well, we'll have some people on and
Yeah, we're gonna
have
be
some
looking
cool
at getting some
conversations.
people.
Right
That's
on.
the next part. We're gonna definitely get a couple of good guests. I gotta start. I want to try to get Aaron. Maybe we can get Aaron one day. That would be nice.
Aaron's
Maybe
awesome.
some
Yeah,
expert.
that'd be cool.
Yeah, Aaron will come on.
Mhm.
Just a matter of his schedule.
Yeah,
Right
he
on.
was another one that was a huge,
He's awesome.
support. Yeah, for sure.
You know what I like about Aaron is Aaron will talk to you if you have 2 followers or you have 50,000. He doesn't. He's
Yeah.
just really open to just all Xbox fans.
Yeah, no, he is. I think the first time I
And
met him in person, like because we had been talking a little bit like on Twitter and stuff, and he had recognized me and he pulled me out of line. I remember he's like, Shaun, and he like pulls me out of line, gives me like a big hug, and I'm like, oh hey, like everybody's like looking like what's going on. But yeah,
that's
he's
Aaron. That's Aaron.
super cool. He knows my wife now, so like we're family.
Yeah.
It's really cool, man. Well, I'm very excited that you're on the show with us, and thank you for sharing your story about how your art followed you throughout your life and got you into the career that you're into. And we all eventually met, and now we're doing this project together. I think it's really exciting. But
Yeah, I'm excited.
so thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right, right on, man. We'll get back together when we got someone lined up.
All right, sounds cool.
We will
man.
talk.
See you guys later.
Take
All right.
care.